Okay, go live here. We in here. Just make sure. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. See if I turn this down a little bit. What's up, Jonathan? Jonathan in the building, very early. What's up? Elizabeth says hello, Jonathan. Start this off right really quick. Welcome to the Respectfully Great podcast. I am your host, Johnny Reed, and we have a wonderful episode uh set up for you guys today. We're gonna have a lot of fun, something that's gonna be really intrinsic in value, and I think it's pretty much appropriate around this time of the year. Um, I'm great. Hope you are doing well out there. Let's do a wellness check. Shout out to everybody that's on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, StreamYard. Anything that I've missed, please tap and let your boy know. Yes, today I want to do a wellness check really quick. How's everybody doing out there today? Hopefully you are doing well. Hopefully you are excited for the holidays. Hopefully things are going well for you. And ultimately you are in good spirits. We always want to have a wellness check because it's very important for each and every one of us to understand who we are, where we are, and make sure that we have all of our mental faculties, physical abilities, everything that's intact. And if they're not, there's things that we can do to work on those things to be better in the near future. So I want to say shout out to everybody out there in real time, and I hope that you are doing well. Um, yes. Today, we have a great episode. Something that was really reflective for me over the weekend. It was primarily based on around a movie that I have seen. Uh, Also, quick disclaimer: you may hear that your boy is little, congested a little bit. I'll give you just a few things what going on, what transpired with me over the last past week or two. Um, I've been a little bit under the weather, right? I've been under the weather. Uh, Nasal congestions, soreness of throat, loss of appetite, and all of these things have pretty much slowed up some of the things that I normally do. Even far as being in the gym, I end up suffering from an injury that I pretty much found out after I went to the doctor, got X-rays and MRIs, etc. I found out that I had not only muscle spasms, but I had some things of some arthritis in my rhomboid, which actually affecting my nerve. And so, well, actually, it's coming from my neck, affecting my rhomboid, going down the lengths of my arm, affecting the nerves, which is pretty wild. So when they found this discovery, I'm like, well, this pain I feel is pretty normal to me because I feel it pretty much extensively, pretty much all the time. It has grown a little bit more intense over the last past weeks, but I said, you know what? I think it's time to go figure out what's going on. So end up going to the doctor and find out what's going on. Got to do some physical therapy, things of that nature. But also in the midst of that, I end up getting sick, right? And I'm like, oh, what how can it come at a better time, right? Quote unquote, a better time. But I'm glad and happy that I'm here to just experience life for whatever life has to offer. So I am grateful. I am blessed. I am appreciative. And these are the things that still give me the motivation to want to keep going. This is how everything ties into what we're going to talk about today. Heard a little bit of my story, the things I've been going through, things I've been experiencing. I end up watching a movie during this time period, right? So I'm watching this movie, happened to be called The Long Walk. So I'm like, wow, let's dive into this movie. Let's see what this movie has to offer. Get a little bit in. I was intrigued by the title. I heard the recommendation from another source. Can't really recall from where, but I said, you know what? Let's take a look at the movie. End up watching the movie, and I found the movie to be very fascinating on so many levels about who we are, where we are in our lives, the journeys that we choose to go on. the paths that we choose to endure, and the things that we may experience along our journeys. And I think it was a beautiful topic to talk about it today. um, yeah, so we really gonna get into it. Also, it's very, very early on, but like, share, thumb up the video, tell a friend, send out those notifications, share it, let everybody know we are in the building. All of the platforms. I love and appreciate you guys very, very early on who are here now, the people that's here now, the people that come see this in the near future. You're greatly, greatly appreciated, first and foremost. So if anybody has seen it, let me know in the chat. Let me know your thoughts about the movie. I really want to know your take. I have so many viewpoints that I'm going to expound on from my perspective, and I really want to know yours. Um, I found it to be a great movie overall. I find it to be really, really touching in so many different ways. I found it to be challenging. I found it to be uh, heart wrenching. There were so many things that went through my mind. So if this was the long walk itself, there's some rules that were set up about the long walk. Now here we are. I'm gonna use the what would we call it? Um I'm gonna use the comparison of our life journey, our life walk, compared to this movie of the long walk, of what they experience and how we are on our journeys. And I'm gonna take the different nuances, differences, the comparisons, and just make some different analogies about how we can compare and contrast of their long walk compared to our long walk, right? So with the movie was um geared around maybe a military. um it was open to the public. It was structured for all of the participants, which is everybody that was alive in humanity, right? um the military is the ones that were actually, what would you say, um they're the ones that were enforcing the rules. Part of the rules were, I give it to you like such. There was no slowing down. You only had 3 seconds to pause. You had to continue to walk no matter what conditions you were undergoing. And the ultimate uh victory is that you never stop and you're the last one standing. But there's also something that's a little bit of a twist. You were doing this until you win the race or unalived for whatever reason. And there are different reasons, different ways that other people along their journey were actually excluding themselves or eliminating themselves from the long walk and getting that victory. What the victory, what why people actually went on the long walk, various reasons. Some people went on the long walk for um financial gain. Some other individuals walked on the long walk for uh, family reasons. Other reasons that other people joined the long walk was self-fulfilling reasons. Um, they had different characters, played different roles. Actually, even the military uh, commanding chief that was in charge, his actual son, they found out while they were on the long walk, was actually enduring this long walk. And we would say, well, if the criteria would be, you know, whoever continues the walk and actually come to victory, there's only one person standing, everybody else will be eliminated by the cause of being unalived. You were like, well, why would anybody sign up to go on this long walk? Well, the victory at the end, whoever won the long walk, they would be granted any wish that they wanted in the world. So you would think about that. Think about, well, would you ever go on a walk that may leave you to a point of being maybe unalive, but you also get granted the wish that you always wanted, the one that you always thought about, dreamed about. You actually get that opportunity to have that in real time. Some people may say that is too severe. I wouldn't risk anything to go on that walk or go through all of those trials and all of those hardships to actually gain that one thing. But we don't understand why some people may do it. These other individuals have. Maybe if we were in real time today and you ask some of these other individuals, maybe it may be a circumstantial thing. Some people may say, man, I would do anything to change my circumstances. And you say, well, anything, even the cost of me being unalived on my journey, I'm willing to sacrifice or do acts of obedience until near unaliving. And you say, you would do that? Use this in another form. We all have loved ones, right? See, brother, what's up, Carl? Admiral Spence, what's up, loved one? Jonathan in the building. You would say, well, we all have loved ones. Using this as a hypothetical situation, I know there are loved ones I have that I miss dearly. And this is not as a disclaimer. This could be anybody's perspective or not their perspective. I'm using this as my own. I know there are loved ones that I have that I wish I could see again today. Would I take that walk for the opportunity just to see them, their face, or experience being around that individual one more time? Maybe. Maybe. So I'm giving you the variations of why some of these individuals were going on this walk. One individual went on this walk because his father stood up for a cause and said, you know what? I'm not going to yield to the system with the powers that be, whoever X, Y, and Z. I want you to stand up for a cause, and you willing to um, stand on these principles and these morals by any means necessary. So he took his father's words to heart. His father had passed, and he said, you know what? As an oath, I'm going to take and honor my father's words, and I'm going to live and seek that out to the rest and for the rest of my life. So that was one of the reasons he chose to go on the long walk. Still had family members, loved ones that didn't want him to go on the walk. He still went on the long walk. One of the other individuals that went on the long walk had nobody, no relatives, no family members, nobody around. So he felt, you know what? Hey, I have nothing to lose. Nothing to lose, everything to gain. That's why he went on a long walk. Thinking about it, cool. That was his reasons. Another individual went on a long walk because he said, you know what? There's so many things I can do with this one wish that I could, be really, really self-fulfilled. I would get all my dreams and wishes all out with this one wish that I can have everything. It could be, money, whatever it was. I know it was. He was talking about being with something along the lines of being married to his wife and having a wedding and doing all these other things. So he's doing it for a family reason, many, many different reasons. So as I'm looking at the story, watching the movie, I started to kind of, relate in so many ways, but also challenge myself and question, would you go on this long walk? Today, I want to kind of set the tone like this for this episode, right? Today, we are going on a long walk, but there are some rules about this long walk that we are going to go on together, right? Here are the rules: no stopping, no slowing down. 3 seconds of pause means elimination, that we will be eliminated. Everyone starts at the same line. Only one person gets to finish. How about those rules I set today as we go on our journey? Now, we may say to ourselves, that may sound a little bit severe. That may sound a little bit challenging. I don't want to oblige by those rules. Who made these rules up? Understand? But every day we are operating from some other structure, some other rules. We say we write our own rules, but how? Because are we able to do what we want, when we want, how we want? How does that same mind frame fit into other spaces? Do you set the rules in your world? Hypothetically, we have to follow these rules of no quitting, no stopping, no slowing down. The key is, how are we going to cross that finish line? I think those rules right there allow us to keep going. So this podcast is mainly geared around the long walk and the continuous journey of keep going. So this is where we are today. I think it's a good, fun way and a good, fun approach to see it from a real perspective and applying it to our own lives, because I know that there are many things that we start, stop. But what if we stop and it's the end all be all? How will we approach our journeys? Do we look like we have the room for error? Do we feel like we have tomorrow to put off things in order to get done today because the rule is we can't stop? So this is the challenge for each other today. And I thought of it as being a great and a fun challenge because I said to myself, there's so many other things in the midst of the last past 2 weeks that challenged myself of, how are you going to get to the next step? Yeah, you are sick, but are you going to continue through the acts of obedience to continue on your journey? Are you going to show up today? Are you going to put out your videos? Are you going to go out there and network? Are you going to go out there and research? Are you going to be able to go out there and go to the gym? Or are you going to do other forms of exercise? If I can't do the physical aspect of the exercise, what about that time? How can I utilize that time to strengthen another area of my life? Maybe pick up more of the reading, more research, more active things about my business, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why I look at this as a great, great way to approach our segment today. What I'm happy and ecstatic about is that we are here now today, and together we can have some real relatable things, some real contrasting things about the journeys that we all are on. Because I know that if those rules were set in place at various times in my life, I would have been eliminated a long time ago. If those rules were set in place, I would have been eliminated a long time ago. But what I want to reassure you that today is, if we start setting some of these rules up for ourselves, one thing that we can guarantee is that we can always be inside of the game. And meaning that if you always inside of the game, you always have an opportunity to win. Whatever that win looks like for you, whatever the fruits of your labor, the things that you can reap and benefit from you continuously being inside of the game. Let me just run this past you, just about some of the experiences from what I was watching along the movie. So you would think about, hey, everybody's starting at the same line. What does that look like? Everybody initially, when they start on their own journey in life and in the movie, everybody looks like they all have the strength to endure the long journey, the long walk. Everybody looks like they're healthy. Everybody may be smiling, some may be serious, but everybody looks like they're fit to go on this journey. Cool. But we don't understand that along this journey, it's more than a appearance and a physical battle. You also gonna be mentally tested along this journey. And this is where things can get real, real funny in the sense of the own willpower that you possess. How far are you willing to go to seek out that victory and for the things that you want to endure and bring into your life? So I started to say to myself, when I first started to watch the movie, I'm like, this person, it looks like he gonna be the winner. She's gonna be the winner. That person gonna be the winner. I kept picking out the different variations of individuals who I thought was going to be the winner. The movie had, in the end, had a twist when I got to the end, but there was different reasons why other people wasn't able to endure the long walk. Let me give you some of the things that transpired along the long walk. Right. So first, there were some other individuals. Red, what's up, loved one? There were some other individuals started to walk. Everybody seemed to be fine. Remember, the long walk, you can't slow up. You slow up more than 3 seconds, you risk being unalive. To give you a 3 second count. After the 3 seconds, you're gone. Um, remember, this walk, you have to use the bathroom. So there have been times where you're like, oh, this is disgusting. People on this long walk, they have to use the restroom. Imagine going on a walk, there are no restrooms. So when you had to go, three warnings, you have three warnings. So three warnings is almost like a one warning, 3 seconds. How long, however long the seconds were, it's got to be assured by Lizzie. Three warnings. Three. Okay. You certain pace. So you had to keep a three speed. You had to go under like you had to walk like a 3 speed mile per hour pace. So it was a timed pace that you had to walk. Also, you had a three warning count. First warning, second warning, third warning, and then after that, there's no more warnings, and then you can be eliminated by being unalived, right? Um, that was some of the things. So when I was talking about on this long walk, everybody at the starting line, everybody looks healthy, everybody looks fit in our worlds, the life that we living in now. Everybody looks like they fit to run the marathon or walk the long walk. What I started to discover as I watched this movie, started to correlate it into my own life, I started to see, man, this person here, four, okay, 4 miles per hour. So get the actual data or the right rules and structure. 4 miles per hour was what they had to keep up with as far as pace and speed. And they faced the penalties of three warnings if they stopped for whatever reason, and he stopped longer than the after the third warning, after stopping, pausing, or whatever, then and you couldn't turn around. That's the other thing too. You couldn't go the opposite way. You had to continuously go forward. So there was times where individuals had to use the restroom. So they actually went right to the bathroom in real time while the walk during the walk. This is taking number one. This is taking number two. I've seen that people get unalived because they just sat down and they took a number two for too long, unalived. I seen situations during the movie, and this I don't want to be a major spoiler alert, right? But I just want to give you different variances of things that just transpired, so we should have an idea of the extremities from one spectrum to the other. One was going to the restroom, right? Having to use the bathroom, couldn't control their bladder, or you listen, hey, I'm out here walking for 24 hours. I have to go to the bathroom, depending on what I ate that day. That was one of the things to where one person got unalived. Another situation is that, hey, the shoes that they had on really wasn't that good. Started to walk barefoot, feet started to bleed, excruciating pain. Another reason why some of the other individuals couldn't continue to walk and end up being unalived. Those are two things. What I'm saying is, it's more than just the physical aspect. How mentally strong are you able to go on your journey? So when we look at life, about the things we want to bring into our life, and we approach life from a standpoint of saying, hey, I know I'm creating my purpose. I know I have drive. I know I have passion. A lot of times we think that the emotions is what just carry us over into the next phases along our journey. Let's be clear. Emotions and having a great reason emotionally to start a journey and feeling emotionally motivated, powerful thing. But what happens when that emotional drive starts to dwindle? Now we have to kick in the gear, emotional maturity, and we got to figure out, do I have a stronger why or willpower to continue my journey? Am I built to go out there in this world and go out there and stand the test of time when there are going to be things thrown in my way? There are going to be obstacles. There are going to be unseen events that's going to throw a monkey wrench along my journey. And how do I combat this? That is going to be the real test. I challenge myself because I look at my path and I say, well, what were some of the things that stopped you early on? and even some of the things that may test some of my strengths now and my weaknesses to say, hey, you may do that well, but how can you still continue if you are, say, quote unquote, sick today? You having a sore throat, tummy, upset tummy, or back spasms or pain here, or mental fatigue, headaches. How are you going to continue? Or you use your voice to talk today? Or do you have the willpower or the physical ability to continue out your journey? So today's a test even for myself, right? Spirit is always high because I think that sets the template for me in order to approach this from a positive perspective. But it wasn't always like this. And not saying that tomorrow I may not feel different. What I'm saying is that every day it's a test and it's a preparation to get me to the next phases. One, I wanna jump around really quick. I started to watch this watch enthusiast show, right? And as I'm watching the watch show, he ended up saying something that really, really intrigued me. He was saying that along the watch journey, whoever's in a watch world and they love watches and they have appreciation for watches, he said that one great thing about watches, they are great, great conversation pieces. And he said that once he started to understand um, things about watches and time, he started to see how his life started to reposition, and the time and space that he occupied started to be different from the environments he started to occupy, the people that he was around, the conversations he had. He started to see things totally different from how he used to see things, and how his life started to transition from having an understanding of just simply time and timepieces. And he started to say something that just made me feel while I was watching the episode. As I'm watching the episode, I started saying to myself, in due time, I have to start making different investments for me personally in watches. Why watch? I want to get into watches, right? Always have a nice, well, I have a few, right? One on today, etc. And I love to match watches with my outfits, etc. Because I think it sets the tone and template of how I'm feeling in the moment. Just a representation and conversation starter, etc., etc., etc. So when I started to think about during the episode as I'm watching that show, I'm like, I need to start, you know, maybe getting more in understanding some of these things, because I want to have great conversation starters and being able to be in different environments to where maybe I want to have more I want to be able to be in more rooms to where I can be challenged, right? And I want to be able to see things and have different perspectives, not just from where I'm sitting at. Maybe I want to be over here and see it. Then I want to be over here and see it, and see, well, how do your thoughts and your belief system still add up? And one thing he kept saying is that each time where he's at in the moment, the conversations that he's seen himself having, initially he end up being in that time, in that space, being in that next realm. And then he had, once he got into that next space, he started to see things a way he wanted to be, how you want to operate, and things, business ventures, money, etc. He kept seeing his life transition from the space he in, thinking about, okay, presently this is where I'm at, the future I want to be over here, end up finding himself in that position from what he said a year ago, 2 years ago. He's occupying that space, and then thereafter find himself in another space that he wanted to occupy from his thoughts, beliefs, and his perspectives from that moment, and continuously from his journey, he ended up just being in different places, and it amazed him. I thought about that while I was watching it, said the same words, and I'm like, that's the correlation. What makes me think about that journey, not just about the watches. I think about our journeys in real time of what we choose to do with our lives. Today, we are here, present, and we say, okay, this is what I'm doing today. Today, I'm doing this thing because it's an act of obedience. Um, I'm doing this thing because I know that there's a means to an end. I know that, okay, although I'm here today, tomorrow I may see myself over there, but how do I get there? It's the daily work that we have to do to get us to those next levels. And sometimes we miss out on our duties, and then we say, well, ah, I missed the target. But what if we had these rules like we was talking about earlier set up to where we can continuously be in the race without having those moments to second guess whether we should be in them or not, whether the monkey wrench is thrown at us, whether there are powers that be that want to stop us, whether it's ourself that's trying to stop and self-destruct because of um we seek failure, or we don't want to be successful because we know there's another level of responsibility, so we self-sabotage. There's so many things that may go into us along our journeys that may prohibit us from getting to those next levels. But it also can be foreseen that if we do the work today along our journey, no matter what, eventually we will get to another place. And I look at our journeys today as such. I know everybody that approached that long walk initially started with pretty much a why they all joined, why they started that journey. I know us here today, there's a reason why you started. There's a reason why you are on your journey. There's a premise. It's a purpose behind what you do today. And what I'm saying is, if we constantly remind ourselves why we are here, and we have these rules and structures in place to allow us to keep going, I think that's where we start to build up different levels of tolerance and strength, and we able to endure when the weather changes, and then we get sick under different conditions, and then our feet start to hurt, and then I got to take a bathroom break, and I'm getting headaches, and there are things where people trying to mislead me, tell me, hey, we can go around, or we can run and escape this route, or we can take the shorter route. We can do this, we can do that. There's so many things that can mislead us and cause us to be distracted from what's really going on. And what I want to remind each and every one of us is that along the long walk that you are walking is simply your own walk. And that is the key. That was the main premise of when I watched the movie. Yes, we have the masses and there are other people around, but it's about the self endurance. How well are you equipped to walk your life and walk your journey and be able to get fulfilled from the things that you want to get out from it? And these are the things that make me think to myself, well, how suited are you, Johnny? How suited are you? What are the things that you are saying to yourself every day that you want, that you watch, that you see, that you say, oh, I can just taste it? But you may understand that, hey, it may not come with the fruits of the labor tomorrow. It may take another 200, 300, 400, 500 repetitions consecutively. And then even then, it still may take some more until one iota and something else just opens up to where, like, oh, that's the key to that door that leads to something else. Still not at the top of the pinnacle, but it has access to another door that you haven't had access to before, because now you became the person along the journey. Now you the one that was tested. You was truly tested, and you came out victorious because you know what it's like to go through things when you're dealing with pain. How have you ever showed up to do a job while you was in pain? Let me ask anybody that ever worked before any day of their life, whether you had a 9 to 5, whether you deal with entrepreneurship. Have you ever gone to work, school, or done something under the conditions where you were in pain? I have. Have you done it if people play sports before? Have you played sports with an injury? I have. Have you ever went to school when your parents told you, "Hey, you sick, but you have that test today. So no matter how sick you are, you need to find a way to get healed for that hour, 2 hours, 8 hours out of that day. Figure it out to make sure that you do well on that test and go in there and complete the task." I have. I've been through it all in that aspect. So what I'm saying is that this is nothing new under the sun. We all have gone through some of these things. And I know I'm not the only one, because I've seen people around me sniffling, body hurting, holding their legs, holding their backs, braces on. Some people emotionally distraught. I've seen things from a lot of perspectives, me being a primary person that experienced it by myself, but also seen it from the outside looking in. And I've seen how much other people endure and still have the willingness to go and do that. You see, when Kobe Bryant had torn up his Achilles. I know my uncle AT, shout out AT, he had torn his Achilles before. We seen Kobe Bryant tear his Achilles after a foul, gets up, walks to the free throw line, torn Achilles, shoot his two free throws, walk off the court. Every person that I've seen got a torn Achilles got carried off the court. So when you talk about endurance, when you talk about willpower, when you're talking about completing the task, that's what that looks like. So when I look at these things from my life, from my perspective, I say to myself, well, if there are people out there that's willing to go that extra mile to win in their life, why am I buying excuses for myself? Should I be buying excuses? Or do I want it bad enough is the real question. Because we all can find a reason not to go. We all can find reasons not to go on our journey. It's easy to find a reason to justify. It's easy to find justified reasons not to do a thing. I heard this all my life through different channels. Me using it, keeping it on the eye as the first proponent. I've used reasons why I justified reasons why I didn't want to go and do the hard thing. I've seen other people justify reasons why they didn't want to go out there and do the hard thing. And what I mean by the hard thing, these are simply the things that we say that we want. What I'm talking about is the things that nobody forced me to go out there and do. These are the things that I said that I wanted in my life, but I was unwilling to go out there and do the work. And I justified, hey, today, uh, sore throat. Oh, I didn't sleep last night. Mm, I, man, I had this pain in my big toe. Oh, you know what? You know what? I forgot. The dog ate my homework. I used it all. I've used it all. Sometime it worked, but most of the time, I'm the one that got bit in the behind because what happened was I kept finding reasons till I couldn't find any more reasons to continue on my own journey, the one that I signed up for. So what I want to ask you today is, well, are you finding reasons to quit along your journey? And we got to figure out, how can we figure out ways to continue on our journey and not buy excuses? Because if we say that we want this by any means necessary, we got to show up like it. We got to have some of these rules and structures in place to make sure that we're not stopping, no matter what's going on in the world. No matter what's going on in the world, there are going to be things that want to take us away from completing our task. And it's very easy to get distracted. It's very easy to find reasons and justify reasons not to continue on our journey. And I know I've been someone that has been on both sides of the spectrum. And when things got really, really difficult, even for myself, I'm like, maybe I could do it right. Maybe just let me just lay off a little bit. Maybe not, maybe not just go as, let me just, and before you know it, I start slipping and I hear myself now after watching the movie, or I hear the warnings. First warning, second warning, sense of urgency. Sense of urgency. We have to continuously go out there and be able to position ourselves with or without to endure the race and prepare ourselves for anything because we know anything is possible. So that we got to make sure that we hydrated. We got to make sure that we fed. We make sure that we take the proper breaks in order to go use the restroom timely. We can't sit in the bathroom being all day for 24 hours. We can't live in the bathroom. Yeah, we go in there, do I do, get up out of there because we know that that time is ticking. When we start understanding the value of time, when we start, when we learn not to waste our own time. So when we stop wasting our own time, we know that we won't waste other people's time. So people start taking us more serious. So when they approach us, we know like, oh, he or she, they serious about their time. They're not sitting around having frivolous conversations about things and that don't hold no merit. They're not wasting their time and energy around things that's not going to be a part of their growth and their development. So when I look at these things, I'm like, there's a time and place for everything. How do you choose to use yours? How do you choose to go on your long walk? I started to reevaluate the way I want to go on my long walk because I started to see some of these things as, man, did that person, when I watched the other individuals, did they really have the endurance or did they quit? Did they mentally give up or did their body physically give up? Did that person care enough to even want to go the distance? Because there was some individuals that just strictly say, you know, I'm done with this. Halfway through, they just ran off course because they just didn't want to endure the journey anymore. The long walk, they didn't want to go on anymore. So they said, you know what? Instead of me having to endure some of the hardships, I'd rather just end it all right now because I don't want to go through this. So now finding the reasons why we on this journey got to be real justifiable. Let's find more justifiable reasons to be on the journey, not to negate it, not to get off it. Because if we done those excuses, we found every justifiable reason to not to continue it before. But let's find justifiable reasons to continue. Let's find every great reason to continue the long walk, continue that journey, continue to go out there, be purpose driven. Because each and every individual is here for a purpose. And sometimes we keep thinking that the powers that be is going to give us the signs to do so. We have to really understand and know that it's created. Your purpose is created. What meaning do you want to have in this world? Let me ask you that one more time. What meaning do you want to have in this world? Who do you want to impact? How do you want to impact? Have you thought about the individuals that come in contact with you? What experiences do you want them to have? What shared experience? What talks do you want those people or individuals to have when you're not around? And of course, everybody's not going to be in favor of you. But what I'm saying is that if you came through the door with a long lasting impression of something that's impactful and life transformational, if you can leave that residue or that resident or they leave that residue uh, uh, um and let that resonate with the people that you came in contact with, people, places, or things, and you impact in that way, how you think overall your impact and your purpose is going to be? People going to be impacted by you being purpose driven, but you can create that. You can create value around the things that you prioritizing, the things that you say, hey, you know what? I think that being honorable is an attribute that I want to classify as something that is needed. I really feel like having respect is something that is needed. I feel like it's just the same way that we breathe air and we need air to breathe, the oxygen to breathe. Same way as breath. I feel like respect is in the same category as having your breath and you prioritizing that and you gear your life and your purpose around that. You start to convince and know that yourself that is purpose and that's purposeful, and other people would deem it as such as well. And they can understand the value and extract that value and actually add that to whatever it is that they are doing in their lives. And they can be impactful for the better and greater good. So when we going on these walks, let's think about it. What type of walk are you wanting to go on? What type of walks are you doing daily? Are you even on a walk? Do you have a purpose? Are you in search of it or are you in creation of it? Because a lot of times we can get lazy in that aspect of saying, you know what, I'm trying to find it instead of going out there and creating it. Be like, well, I'm here and I know I want to be over there. Well, you know what? You can use one as a stepping stone to get to where you need to get to. You can use one aspect as your initial investment to go invest into the next thing that you want to do. It could be small. We know that things compound. And this is some of the things that we miss out on. We think that all of our power and attention all has to come in one shot. And we don't understand that it's the daily things, the 1% being better every day is what allow us to get to those next levels. It's not so much of the transformational things of saying that my life just turned around in one day. It seems like the one day. They said the overnight success happens in 10 years, right? Just quote unquote hypothetical, meaning that we think the overnight successful person that we watch on television or whatever they done in their life, right? Or in real life, we think that the overnight success happened literally overnight. Don't understand that it was years in the making, years in that person becoming that person that can endure and actually exercise their belief system to the highest degree in order to go out there and prove their purpose and be purpose driven. They went out there and actually executed on being who they were to really maximize their potential to reach that milestone and reach that plateau of exercising their purpose. But it looks like overnight success. That's what it looks like. But don't understand it's the daily work that we do. It's the conversations that we have with one another, the conversations that we have with ourselves, that willpower, that big why connected to why we do things, who we come in contact with, the failures, because we know that cause and effect is actually what lead us to the perfection. It's a prerequisite to the perfection, meaning that it's a requirement to get to perfection. We don't know what's perfect if we don't understand well what's not perfect. So you always have the duality. We have up down, left right, in out. That's how things work with this opposite, almost like the yin yang. So that's when we start to get more familiar with, how things work. Yeah, things may be working, but if you do things a little bit different, it may not work, or it can increase and get improve and get better, etc. But we also have to continuously have that data to see what works and what doesn't work. So sometimes when you under, duress and you under stress, okay, how do we get unease? Or how do we get ease from being uneasy, right? How do we get a relief? How do we get a mind? How do we get clarity? How do we do those things in a hyper environment? So Trace, how do we do that when our minds are cluttered with a lot of fog? So now we got to find ways to declutter. So that comes to maybe some meditative things, right? It could be some ethogens. It could be some time out to yourself to where you go on that long journey, that long walk in solitude, and you have some patience in your breathing techniques, and just sitting in silence or not moving at all. It could be meditative music. It could be activities that you do that you enjoy that stimulate your mind in a different way to bring more ease to you. But how do we ever know what works and what doesn't work if we're not trying these different things and knowing ourselves better than the world know us? Because I think that's more important when we look ourselves in the mirror and do those self audits and start to figure out, well, who are you? Who are you? Have you looked yourself in the mirror and just stood there for a second and looked at yourself and said, you know what? Am I someone that can be honest with me? Just be honest. Hey, yeah, I may look decent when I put on some of my clothing, but when I take my clothing off, am I body shaming myself? How about do I have, some insecurities that I'm unwilling to face and I keep overlooking them? Not saying that I have to stay there and say, you know what, I gotta stay with my insecurities. What I'm saying is that do we find ways to overcome that and to be honest with ourselves and say, you know what, hey, right here, I'm a little tender in this area. How can I improve and make sure that not going to be the downfall along my journey? Because as soon as I get faced with it, the first thing I want to do is turn and run away from it. If I want to turn and run away from it, so Quay, what's up, sis? If I want to turn and run away from it, then how do I ever get the chance to overcome that? Because what the reality is that you're going to be faced with these things. So when we come and face our hardest moments, and we say, you know what, come on, bring it on. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for the ridicule. I'm ready for the hardship. I'm ready for the distractions. I'm ready for it all because you know what? I'm focused and I'm on this journey and I got my backpack on and I got the proper footwear and I got the proper, GPS map. I got the proper focus. I got the proper mental capacity. If I get a little bit sick, I got some herbs. If I get mental fog, I just isolate, go in a little bit of solitude, zone out, do my own thing, pace myself. I got a good pace, so I'm not burning out. If you start knowing where your strengths and your weaknesses are, then we can face them and we can start to prepare ourselves to put certain things in place to allow us to keep going. And that's the beauty of us knowing ourselves better than anybody else do. But we first got to get comfortable with acknowledging who we are, looking ourselves in the mirror. How about we start there? Look in the mirror. Who are you? Now, sometimes we get imposter syndrome because we build ourselves up to say, I'm not really that person because we heard that from the media. We heard that from family. We heard that from friends. We heard that from you ain't bowling, you ain't popping bottles, you ain't doing this. Then you mean nothing. So your life is pointless. So you have no premise. Your life has no meaning because you're not quote unquote popping. Who write the rules to that? So that means that we on this long walk, but we walking the walk of someone else's walk. So that long walk that we say that we on, we really out there trying to be the people pleaser. We trying to fit into everybody else's life. We trying to find placement in everybody else's life. Meanwhile, we need to be comfortable and find placement with ourselves first. That's where the most difficulty comes in, and the most fulfillment is gonna come in that. We have the hardest and the most fulfillment coming from within. Rachel, what's up, loved one? That's where all the difficulties come in at. But more and more that we start identifying, okay, I know who I am. Now I don't care what they say. Who is they? Anybody that opposed of me thinking who I am. So when they start to say I'm not who I think I am, they wrong because they don't know the internal me. They don't know who I am at heart. They only know the things I speak about, what they attach myself to on the outside. Seasons greetings, family. Absolutely, loved one. Seasons greetings. Hold up my mug for that, Rach. Good mug game. Good mug game. Take a little sip of this good old tea game. Mm. Boys, parts two. Couldn't come at a better time, sis. You talking about that long walk. We talking about that long walk. And it's really about identifying who you are and what journey that you are on. Everybody's journey is different. Everybody placement of where they feel fulfilled is going to be different. Everybody midpoint may be different. We all may have a different starting line. Some people started their journey maybe at 10 years old from being in their purpose because they created it. Because they created it. Some people may start their journey in their premise at 50 years old because that's when they started their journey and that's when they started to be more purpose driven and they start finding out who they want to be ideally at heart and they going out there and they creating their purpose from that standpoint. And this is what I mean about us on how we can get to those next phases when we start worrying about who we are. And ultimately, once we figure out who we are, where we are, and the things that we want to bring into our world, now we can start impacting the other things that surround us and other people. I have something right here, right? Why people start the walk. We talked about that a little bit earlier. Money, family, pride, self-fulfilling things. Those are some of the things that, get people to start the journey. The life parallel to it, financial security, recognition, healing, escape, identity, proving something to themselves. These are some of the reasons why we start our journeys. Some people start journeys to escape. Think about that. Sometimes people do things just to get away. What are you getting away from? Question. It's not for me to answer. It's for you to answer. What are you escaping from? What are you trying to heal from? What are you running towards? Questions. Questions. We talked about life. When we start some of these things, we start off as an emotional thing, right? Sometimes we emotionally connected to why we start something. Sometimes we get very, very excited. We got a new idea. We got some new spunk. We say we super, super motivated. But then once that motivation goes away, we have to turn that why into something that's a little bit more mature to allow us to keep going on our journey. So now our why got to mature. The premise of why we on our journey has to mature because initially it was just emotional driven. It was emotion driven. So we say, I was connected to this thing. I got excited. I seen such and such. I got inspired by this or that or whatever reason. In that time period, I just feel like a super high. That's why I started this journey. And then once the excitement leaves, it's back to, okay, I'm finding myself here. I no longer feel excited like I once did at that very moment. But I know I want to feel like that. I want to feel that same excitement when I first got that initial rush. How can I get that rush back? So now we got to level up the premise. We got to mature the why. So now we got to find more reasons to convince ourselves why we need to go on this journey. And once you start figuring out, you know what? Hey, I want to change my circumstances. I want to be such and such in my family. I want to make sure I have such and such pillar in my community. I want to have generational impact with my family, my loved ones. I want to do great things because I know that I was gifted with some of the great elements around me, some of the great tools from family structure, from finances, from environment. I was one of the individuals that were luckily placed in this time, space, environment that allowed me to grow. So now I think it's my obligation to pass that forward. That may be the why. Or I've been through something so traumatic, so hard. I went through so many hardships, and what I have to offer, I don't want nobody else to experience. So let me share my story on how we can avoid that and how we can protect other people from not going down some of these routes. Hey, maybe I was one dealing with some emotional distress. I was, dealing with some mental things. So let me tell you how to get mentally healthy. Let's talk about mental health, how we can get the right diagnosis, how can we get the right remedies, how can we have the right serums to make sure that we have the right things, the right balances within our bodies, to make sure that we get the right chemical balances, to make sure that our bodies are fed the right way so we can properly assess even mentally. We can get the proper mental health. Some of these things are your own testimonies where it's super valuable. And sometimes we throw it away as not being such. And it's tragic because other people want you to buy into what they deem as valuable. Money, car, clothes, etc. Bottle. The highlights on Instagram reels or highlights on the social media. People want people to buy into that, not knowing that once the highlight leave for 20, 30 seconds, they go back to reality, a side that they never show. And what I'm saying is that we all go through some of these things. I've experienced it from my own perspective. I've seen it. I've seen other people tell me about their experiences. I have conversations with other individuals about some of the things that they have seen in different places, different environments. Right now, where we at in our time and place, um, we don't have we not under quote unquote warfare, right? So we not dodging bombs. I know from where we at in here in America at the time, right? We're not dodging some of these things, and not to not. I'm just saying, right? I, we not we not going through a time where times are rough in the world, right? Some people experience it, and everything is relative to who you are, where you are, and your circumstances, right? Because everybody's experiences are different when they deal with uh classism, um, social status. All these things are different for different people, so we all aren't the same, and we all don't react or respond the same depending on who we are, where we are, and the things that we do. Right? What I'm saying is, right now, I know while I'm able to be here in real time, I'm not worried about looking over my shoulder at the very moment, and that's something that's less troubling for somebody like me versus somebody else maybe across the world. They don't have the the luxury of being able to feel comfortable in this time and space to not have to look over their shoulder because everything is warfare for themselves. So it's a different world. We get back here. I want to take a quick commercial break. I want to thank everybody in real time on Instagram, Facebook, StreamYard, YouTube, TikTok, all of the platforms. Give those thumbs up. Please do so. Give those thumbs up. I'm going to shoot over to a quick commercial break from one of our sponsors. You're going to like him. Definitely going to like this guy. Let me get to him really quick, and then we will be right back after this commercial break. Peace, beloveds. Thank you for tuning in to the Respectfully Great podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Reed, and I appreciate your continuous support. Do you know that over 80% of the people that watch our channel aren't subscribed? By subscribing to our channel, you give us the opportunity to bring on more guests to add more value to our channel.
To join our growing community, head over to respectfullygreat.com, sign up for our email list to get exclusive updates on empowering blogs, as well as the latest and greatest in respectfully great fashion. Once again, it's nothing but big love, and we value your commitment.
Man, we got a sponsor. We had a word from one of those cool sponsors. See that guy? You see that guy over there? That guy named Johnny Reed, man. Go tap in with that guy on YouTube. Respectfully great on YouTube. Give them thumbs up. Go like, share, subscribe, tell a friend and tell a friend. And everything will just be that much better because we pushing out that algorithm. So I thank you in real time and thank you for showing up because you guys are greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated. Skip over here. So now we were talking about uh we've been talking about over the course of our episode today about that long walk, that journey, right? I want to give the life parallel. We often share our beginnings for shared capacity. Just because we shared the same sentiment behind the thing initially, that doesn't mean that we ultimately are going to go the same distances. I'm going to highlight something really quick. Let me move this over on top real quick. Make sure we're still there. Okay, we still good day on TikTok. So I mention this quite often. I always talk about, excuse me. I always talk about David Banner, right? Because he had said something a long time ago in some post or video that I watched, and or interview rather. And he was talking about in life, people go different distances with you. Everybody may not walk that same walk or that long walk. How ironic, right? I watched this movie, The Long Walk. We talking about the long walk today, and David Banner talk about how people walk different distances with you along your journey. And we talking about the capacity. Just because we share the same sentiment initially during the beginning of our journeys, that doesn't mean that everybody is going to walk that same path with you. That means that some people may stop along that journey, maybe midway, and say, you know what, I discovered that this isn't my journey nor my path. And we have to understand that they have the right to do that. They're not wrong. We may feel emotionally connected because you say, when we started this together, we came in this together. How you gonna turn around and leave me now? Maybe that's not their purpose, and they finally discover it and say, you know what, I have an epiphany right now. I've done this for X, Y, and Z time, and I figured out that this isn't me. But the beauty of it is that you still are in the game. You still in that race. If that's where your passion is, if that's where your purpose is, if that's where your heart lies at. So you don't have to really worry about what everyone else is doing, what everybody else is doing. You can say, you know what, this is my journey. This is what I created. I'm going to go out there and continue this path with or without. So the shared beginnings doesn't equate to having the same capacity in the end. Everybody have differences in that capacity. The middle phase, pain becomes constant, hope becomes quiet, motivation becomes unreliable, fatigue removes the ego. Why people quit or collapse? Physical exhaustion. People physically get exhausted, tired. I can no longer do this anymore. I am done. I ain't finished. Mental fatigue. My mind can't even take this anymore. I am overwhelmed. I am stressed. I cannot do this anymore. Loss of meaning. This doesn't hold the same value that it once did. This meant so much to me then. I don't feel the same about it today. Comparison to others. Why doesn't my success look like his or hers? How are they doing better than me? and I'm doing the work every day, or quote unquote seems or think that I'm doing the work every day. Meanwhile, we don't know what they're doing. But the comparison tactics, fear of the continued pain, how much longer this going to hurt? How much longer am I going to suffer? How many nights of loss of sleep I'm going to endure? Mm. Most people quit at the start. Most people quit at the start. We see this. We coming into a new year very shortly, right? A few more weeks. Today's the 18th. A few more weeks coming into a new year. And we always see these New Year's resolutions, right? Everybody going to the gym, everybody getting fit, everybody getting healthy. The gyms are packed to capacity. 2, 3 weeks later, back to the same people that used to be there. Why people do that? The progress is slow. People want the turnarounds overnight. So they worked out for 2 weeks straight. They don't see the results. This is too slow. It'll never happen. I am done with this. It is over. People stop praising you. You in the gym now? You're doing your thing. Now you becoming there a regular. All right, well, they in there. All right, it's regular. So now we don't get the pat on the backs anymore. So we don't get that dopamine hit from people just telling us, yo, you doing great. I see you in there. So the excitement leaves. The results lag behind the effort. We out there, we looking for the results because we saying we going so hard. And I just don't see the results. The results are way in the back. They just haven't caught up yet. I don't know how long I could continue to do this. The results ain't showing. Man, Johnny, I'm on your 40-something episode, man. I don't know what's up. I don't know what's up. My sister Rachel says, when I start to feel all those things, I tell myself, I didn't come this far to give up now. With no struggle, there will be no progress. Pushing through makes the walk that much greater. Absolutely, sis. Hold up. Round of applause for you, sis. Round of applause. I'm clapping. I'm doing this with my fingers, right? Coach Brand. Shout out to Coach Brand. I just talked to her 2 days ago, and we did this when everyone spoke. And a round of applause is the same thing as showing gratitude. When if instead of the clap, you do the clap. We do this as well. When we was in our class, in our coaching program, we did this to let everybody know that we appreciate what they're talking about. We agree. That was so powerful, sis. I think I need to say that one more time. Rachel says, when I start to feel all of those things, I tell myself, I didn't come this far to give up now. With no struggle, there will be no progress. Pushing through makes the walk that much greater. Pushing through makes the walk that much greater. Pushing through makes the walk that much greater. My sister says, we all can be hard on ourselves. Just give yourself grace and let the pieces fall into place. Word. Hold up. Where my chimes at? Where my chimes at? Hold on. I gotta find my chimes. Are we here? Absolutely, sis. Absolutely. Let the chips fall where they may. Let the pieces fall into place. This is a big puzzle. And we can put the pieces where we need to put them at the appropriate time. The whole picture may not come out at the very moment. Sometimes we got the corner right, then we only got the piece that's in the middle, and we only got this little section over here that we put together. We don't have all of them. We don't have all the pieces together. But we don't understand that in order for our life to be completed, it ain't over till it's over. So while we here every day, we are just putting these pieces to the puzzle together, and we letting the chips fall wherever they may. We putting the pieces, let the pieces fall into place. And this is how we have to approach our journey. We have to approach our journey from the standpoint of saying, you know what, I may not have all of the pieces, all of the answers right now, because there's some growing that needs to happen. There's some people that need to come in my life. There's some people that need to come out of my life. There's some places I need to go. There's some places I need to remain. There's some things I need to go out there and bring into my world. There's some things I got to get rid of. There's some distractions I really got to avoid. There's some distractions that needs my attention. How can distractions need your attention? Sometimes it be some of the things right in front of us that's calling for our attention that we need at that very moment. And now it's like, how did I miss this? Because you was cluttered with the rest of the other things. You really wasn't tapping into self, and you wasn't figuring out that, hey, the signs are right here. Hey, look at me. This is what you and it's all reverting back to you. You get more clarity once you start understanding who you are. You get more clarity when you start detailing, okay, what do I want to be in a year from now? Growing through it. Absolutely. Growing through it, sis. Growing through it. You got to grow through it. I love that so much. That's so powerful. Coach Lucky says this all the time. He says, sometimes we got to grow through things and then grow out of them. And I never heard it like that before. I never heard it like that before. He says, sometimes we got to grow in things and then eventually grow out of them. And that's how the seasons are. That's how the seasons are. I was watching the show, not even the show, I was watching on Instagram today. And there was a gentleman, he has his own farm. He grows his own trees, harvests grains, livestock. He does a bunch of things. And it was so powerful to make me think about growing through things. He went and he was chopping up some of the trees for the wood, for the firewood. He's chopping up firewood, and he came to one of the trees that had, I forgot the gauge of the wire, of wire that was wrapped intertwined inside of the tree. So we think about a wire fence, right? Think about a hard wire, a wired fence. People know what fences look like, and think about that, the toughness of that wire, the gauge of that wire of that fence, 4 gauge, 3 gauge, whatever the gauge is, right? That gauge was intertwined within the tree, but he said something along that, while he was cutting up the tree. He said, look at the strength of this seed. It was able to grow through the metal of the gauge of that wire and still grow and be erect, even though there were some things that was going and piercing through it that could stop the growth of that tree. That tree didn't stop growing. And it made me think about us, of how many things that we can stop, that would normally stop us along our journey, the hardships, the things that we associate with ourselves, to tell ourselves, you know what, I've been through something so troubling, so terrible. I was hurt so bad. This right here normally would stop me, but your growth allows you to grow through that. Same way that tree had grew through the wire. So when he cut up the when he was chopping down and removing the wire from the tree, because he was making a firewood, because he was showing, like, look at this right here, look how the wire is all intertwined into this tree. And I said to myself, man, most of us during the course of our lives get pierced with a lot of hardship like that. Some people don't recover. Some people stop that as their growth. Some people can't see past that marginal point of growth, because they let that one thing that pierced them, that hurt them, that we think as normally as a blemish, we look at that as, something that, that won't allow us to be fruitful, won't allow us to grow to the best version of ourselves. And I think about those moments, because there's so many things that transpired along our journeys that normally would stop us. And I think to myself, man, if I would have stopped at that one point, I won't be here. So think to yourself, how many things have you endured along your journey that didn't stop you? Even though you still may have some thoughts today, you still may have some belief systems around it that still may hinder you, but you're still breathing today. So there's still opportunity, there's still achievement, there's still overcoming and overstanding that one thing. What I learned too, I love the word serendipity. Once I learned the word, I started to use it and continue to use it. This is accidents or occurrences that happen during the course of our lives where normally we think it's a blemish. We think it's something that you know um, initially it's something that's terrible for us, but it turns out to our better and greater good in the end. So something that initially happened as an accident or something that happened initially that we think is bad for us ends up turning out to be something for our better and greater good. Do you know that most things in our lives are that, but we choose to focus on the negative and that stops the impeding, that stops, like they said, the laws of inertia, right? Stops us from going through the ozone and getting and going to that next layer, the next ozone. We stop there. We stop that momentum. We let that one blemish stop our momentum. And what stops the momentum is simply perspective. Simply perspective. So once we learn the mindset things of learning how the way we shape our perspective is primarily how we can ultimately change our circumstances in our lives. Once we know the power of our perspectives and we know how we can influence that for our better and greater good, things will change. Once we know that those hardships, those hard times, those difficult moments is the character builders. What my sister Rachel said is that, those things makes us that much greater along our journey. So if we look at those things from her perspective, those hard walks, those hard things that we endured are actually for our better and greater good from her perspective. There's nothing that she won't ever be able to there's nothing that will be able to stop her. There's nothing that she can achieve because her perspective is already a one that's a winner and an overachiever, one that not stopping because this one thing happened. So bring on the hardship. Bring on the hardship. Give me your best. Give me your best shot. I'm built for it. I'm ready for it because you don't even know that hardship is gonna work for me like the serendipity. Initially, gonna feel rough in the beginning, and it gonna cause confusion. It gonna cause me to test myself, test my willpower, test my thoughts, test my belief system, test everything that I said I'm supposed to be. The one that that's built to carry the logs on my shoulder and travel up the mountains and run the miles and not stop for nothing is gonna test that. And we have some moments where it break us down, but then we remember who we are. We remember who we are. We don't stop what other people think about us. We're not worried about what they think. We remember who we are. And we stated that from the very beginning. My sister said facts, determined, and discipline. Determined and discipline. How powerful is discipline? Your determination. How determined are you? Do it matter? Because if it doesn't matter, then continue to do what you do and live your life blissfully. They say ignorance is bliss. And the reason why they say that is because people just happy not knowing what's really going on. That's what they say. They say the more you start to know, the more the responsibilities start to fall on your shoulders. So what I learned along my journey is that I learned why myself and others refuse to take on responsibility and acknowledge where the problems are. Because once you acknowledge where the problems are, you have a moral obligation to solve the problem. But a lot of people use the problems as and hindrances, crutches and hindrances, because we look at these things as handicaps because we want victimhood. You want to be my circumstances. I'm the one that went through this hardship. Me. I went through the tough things. That's why it's hard for me to get over this. Pop, 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 pop. Once you acknowledge, that was like, oh, I know what's going on, and the responsibility falls on my shoulders. And most people don't want to acknowledge because responsibility follows. My sister says, "Heavy the head that wears the crown." Talk to him. Absolutely, sis. Heavy is the head that wear the crown. The more and more we teach responsibility with one another, be accountable, then we start building an ecosystem around us to be people of discipline, people of determination, people of responsibility, people of capability. Now we are capable people. Now we can go out there and create. Now we are creators. We are designers. We can go out there and create what we want for our lives. Because now we are willing to take on a responsibility. We never sign a level of difficulty when we do things. So we're not the ones that's quitting before we start. We looking to keep starting things because we know that we're never quitting. That's the difference. Now give me more. I'm about to start this because I'm about to get crazy with this. I'm about to turn it up over here. Don't even worry about it. It's gonna be a journey. I'm in it for the long haul. I'm ready for it. Footable Carving to sub level one. Because I'm black in the building. What's good, God? I'm ready for the long journey. So I'm not even tripping. So I'm ready for it. Bring it on. And that's the difference in mentality. So when you start setting yourself on a plateau to say, you know what, whatever I start, I'm going to finish. Because like what Will Smith said. Will Smith said there's two things that's going to happen if somebody ever raced me on a treadmill. Nobody would never beat me on a treadmill. He's like, what do you mean? He said nobody would never beat me on a treadmill. He said two things gonna happen. I'm going to outrun you, or I'm going to be unalive during the process, meaning that I'm going to this until the death. That's what he said. So as he's running on the treadmill, he's never going to stop. Is his whole motto. And that got to be our motto and the things that we take on in our lives. No matter what the other people say, no matter what the masses say, I'm going to do this with or without, no matter what. You can say what you want. You can say whatever. You can throw blemishes. You can throw distractions. I hear you, but I'm on a mission. I got a moral obligation, and I'm going to go out there and be fulfilled. It may not be to your liking, but I'm going to do what we do regardless. And that's the type of mentality that we got to build around in our own ecosystem. It goes from us, it goes from the people that we're around, it goes to our children. People like us do things like this, meaning that over here we look out for one another. That's etched in stone. Meaning that no, if somebody do something that's at a balance or something that's dishonorable, we make sure that we rectify that. How? No, listen, we police ourselves. We make sure that you gotta be held accountable for that. You did the wrong thing. It's punishable. For what? How? Do what? No, you didn't do your work in school or wherever you was at. You ain't fulfill those obligations. Nah, you take this away. We understand that now your privileges are granted with this thing because I'm supposed to go outside and make ends meet for me and my loved ones and my family and the children. You got to do what's you have to do in order to make sure you get the education and learn and further when the torch is passed to you. Because that's what the parents do. The parents leave off at a certain level and the kid's supposed to take up and take that baton and start running from that last point. But we have to teach what that looks like in our households and then carry that out outside and make sure that we link it with other people that got the same premise, the same mindset, the same moral obligations. And you'll find people part of your tribe along your journey. You'll find people along your tribe. Everybody might, like we said, everybody from the start, everybody that starts in the beginning don't have the same capacity in the end. We all may start here initially. Everybody looks capable from the very beginning. Everybody looks healthy. Everybody looks strong. Everybody looks mentally prepared. But when that journey start, you start to see, man, this one person over here feet hurt. This person got to use the bathroom. This person right here, they just can't endure the long walk. This person right here can't take the mental stress. This person right here, body, even though they look physically fit, they've been poorly dieting, so their body breaking down. This person right here, they should say, you know what, man, I'm going out with a bang, man. This ain't even my journey. So they turn it around. They say, I don't even want to start this from the beginning. It's somebody else's dream. I started it for the wrong reasons off the rip. So that's some of the things that go on when you start the journey and then finding out that everybody don't have the same capacity. But the thing is that it's not about what they doing. It's about your capacity. What journey did you start to say, I'm going to complete with or without? Every day we have opportunity to do that. Every day we have opportunity to do that. Let the chips fall where they may. Let the pieces fall wherever they may. Yeah, we may not get it right the first time. We may strike out. We may strike out. We may strike out. And before you know, we timing right. Now we got our swing right. Now we timing. And now we can not only time it, now we can direct the ball. I step a little here, I swing a little bit later. I'm driving out to right field. Swing a little earlier, bringing it out to left field. Okay, right in the middle, right down the pipeline. Hit it right up the middle, right up the seams. It's a beautiful. I said, that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. Absolutely, Rach. That's the beauty of it. Absolutely. That's the beauty. Because now when we go and tell our stories, there's so many different nuances, so many intricacies that we all can take and say, you know what? I ain't know you completed that. I didn't know you endured that. I didn't know you seen it like that. I didn't know you have gone through that. You turned lemon to lemonade. I didn't know you was able to do that. And you only had limited capital. How did you make that work? Because your dream was bigger than the dream was bigger than anything else that was attached to it. See, people let money get in the way. People let people get in the way. People let environments get in the way. People let all of these other distractions get in the way of the things that they say that they want. You don't got to be forced to do these things. You just got to find a reason why you doing them. And is it the right reason? You just got to find a reason why you doing it. Is it the right reason why you are in this game? Because the only race that you are running is your own race. You're running your own race. Whenever you arrive at the occasion, you arose there. Because the path that you took, most people haven't gone down. They haven't dealt with the hardships that you deal with day to day, the day-to-day tasks, the day-to-day family members, the day-to-day businesses, the day-to-day co-workers, everybody different. Some people have similarities, but they don't know what you endure every day. So you got to find the best ways for you to get through these things every day and rise above and keep positioning yourself like the dude, like the watch enthusiast, and say, you know what? I was here today, but I know this conversation about this timepiece led me to this conversation to be in this environment. Now I'm in this environment. I had this conversation. I sat next down to the CEO of this, and now we over here doing this. And same thing with I was watching Styles P on the same show. Styles P said, "Yo," he said he t-shirt, sweatpants, but he had a mean timepiece on, and it led him to be in another dude. He was at some spot he was eating at, and one of the dudes recognized the watch he had on. He held the watch up. The other guy held the watch up, pointing to the watch. They both had the same watch. Before you know it, they sat down. They started to do business together from that spark of a conversation. Met each other by signifying that hey, they were into some of the same things because he found his tribe. And now once he found his tribe, now they out there doing business together because they both businessmen. But they attached to each other for the know, like, and the trust. And this is how we got to build that with oneself. Know yourself, like yourself, trust yourself, build that up, intensify that, keep that fire lit, keep that torch lit, pick up that baton, keep running, even when things look chaotic and it's chaos and it's disorder, it's crazy around me. Right now, you still got to be able to see through. Like, ooh, okay, okay, I'm in the water full of sharks. So we gonna do? We gonna get the protective gear. We gonna figure out what's going on here, man. Right? Every shark come up, I gotta use my elbows, whatever. Got to punch the shark in the nose. I got to beat them to the punch. Yeah, they coming out of the dark blue, whatever they coming. I'm ready for. I'm ready for the jaws. I'm ready for the jaws. I'm ready for it. You know. And these are the things you got to prepare yourself for. But we're going out there in a world where some people, truth be told, people don't really care about a lot of people, right? If it's not them and theirs, truth be told. And of course, we want to live in a world we said where everybody care about everybody. I'm gonna be fully transparent. That's not the truth. But you can find a tribe of people that care about you and you care about them the same. But the only way we'll be able to find those things is once we care about oneself. We got to know who we are, care about yourself, love yourself more than anybody else can. Because now what you start to do, you create a value system around you. And once people know that you value you, they'll start to value you. They won't come at you with disrespect, even when they try. it only go but so far. It's short lived. They could try it so many times, but the disrespect it's only short lived because you care about yourself enough. You built yourself up enough. You know where your value come from. You know what you put your time into. You know the value system. You know the people that you trust. You know the people that you love. These people know that because you spent your time, your money, and your energy around them, and they know that because we know the most valuable thing in money is time. The biggest asset on the planet is time. So when we had a conversation about timepieces and being able to understand time from those perspectives, how do you value yours? Where do you choose to put your time? What conversations you willing to have with those people? How much of the 1% every day of being better are you trying to do? What things are you trying to do daily to make sure that you build up the levels of tolerance? So now when you become the person that maximizes their potential, now the thing can be curated the way you want it to be curated. Now the purpose, the premise is there. The thing that you always wanted to have in creation, it's there now. You had the vision, but you had to keep reworking that vision. This worked, this didn't work. This worked, this didn't work. I had to do this, mix a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Damn, I fell here. Took 2 steps back, took 3 steps back, took 4 steps back. Okay, I gained one, I gained two, I gained five, I gained 10, I 10x, I 3x. Okay, I took a couple steps back. Okay, you know what? Now I'm in a different environment. I'm in a different room. I need to be challenged more. Okay, I got to be the one that built up my work. I was talking trial and error. Absolutely, sis. When I was talking to Coach Brand, just building with her the other day, and she said something along the lines of what was it? It was Terrica? No, Bryn was Bryn. What segment was it? More or less about um just about application of about getting in different spaces, different environments, and different rooms with uh super wealthy individuals. And Brenda's a coach, right? She's a coach of mine, and she's talking about coaching, and she's told something to me about along the lines of coaching in a way that I'm going to implement within my podcast in due time about me wanting to be along those lines because that's what I want to do ideally in real time. I want to be able to be someone of value and be able to assist in other people's lives and be able to find those different blind spots and be able to help from how I can gauge throughout conversation what things I'm able to observe. But when she said about being able to be in those spaces in those different rooms and seeing how these other people think, and she brought it down to a level of saying that we all human, right? We all human, but there are different things that we all see that some other individuals that may not see. So don't ever limit our abilities of being influential in other people's lives, of being a coach, of being someone that can champion and cheerlead and assist other people to win in their lives. Because there's some things that you may see that other people may not. So even her instilling in me, no matter what rooms, like she said, the rooms she stepped into with billionaires and dudes that out there that 10 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures, whatever they doing in those rooms, and feeling like even though I didn't make that bread, I'm not a 10-figure guy, 6 figure, 7 figure, 8 figure personnel. I still can offer the 6 figure, 7 figure, 8 figure, 9 figure, 10 figure people advice and coach if I'm able to find those blind spots and I'm sure of oneself. Just because I don't have the amount of money they got, that doesn't decrease my value. Just because somebody else has more money in their pocket than I do, that doesn't decrease my value. And that's something that made me really, really realize about how strong we all are. We all have something very, very special that we do. And the more and more that we curate that, the more and more we get real refined and we start being ideally who we want to be and be in purpose while we doing it, there are gonna be some beautiful things that come from you. No matter what the numbers may reflect, no matter what your pockets may reflect, there gonna be some beauty that's going to be unmatched because they're gonna be things that you put together that no one else can put together because it's your experiences, the way you seen the world, your influences, the things that you're able to pick up, the things you're able to watch, the things you're able to see, the ways you're able to make connections. There gonna be some things that you're gonna impact. You're like, whoa, I didn't know my ability was there. We all have it. My sister Ray said, "Yup, laugh aloud. You always been wise beyond your years, big bro. Thank you. Thank you for your insight. Thank you, sis. You allowed this conversation to go down this route from your presence, and that's how powerful we are together. Telling you, that's like I love that. I love that when we have dialogue, right, with one another, because it allows us to um see things. Had you not have input and you gave perspective, I wouldn't had been able to speak from my perspective, and we won't be able to carry that dialogue. So I appreciate you more than ever. I want to let you know that's how powerful each individual, like each one of us, are. Like when we show up for ourselves, we show up in other ways for so many other people that we don't even know. You showed up for me. You don't even know. You showed up for me today. Because even today, my strength of saying how I'm gonna carry out through this through the episode, like I said, I got some pain going on. I was telling Lizzie before you start that, so I got to take some. Do you think I should take the relaxer or the medicine that the doctor gave me, or the Motrin? She said, "Well, take the Motrin because you don't want to go in here and you slumped." I said, "You know, give me the Motrin." I took the milligrams of the Motrin because my arm gets numb, so it's really uncomfortable feeling. But I have my tissue right here, tissue game. I took my little thorough flu, all that stuff we got started. Got my tea game. So boy came prepared because I know that this journey and this walk is going to be like that. I know this episode is going to be like that. So I said, I'm gonna get. So Lizzie, oh, talk to me. Question. We talk about it. Okay. 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 Mm. Okay. Okay. Mm. Let's start. Okay. 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 Let me absolutely. Let me reiterate the question, or statement rather. So what Lizzie was saying is that, for anybody that's coming across this information for the first time, or anybody that's in their life that want to start their journey, haven't started their journey, don't know where to turn, don't know where to start, don't know what to do. How does this process start? What should they do? What would I offer as a starting place, right? To get the ball rolling or figuring out, well, what is it that I'm looking for? First and foremost, I would say just continue to show up here on Respectfully Great Podcast, right? Every Thursday. Shameless plug. Show up every Thursday, 7 p.m. We locking in and we go have open forum of discussions. The reason why I say we start here initially, right? Not just having fun, right? The thing is that we can be open and honest, and you're not going to be judged. So that's the first thing. So I want to let you know that it's a safe environment. So before we can start figuring out who's safe, what's not safe, we don't know those things ideally, right? Until we go through the process. One thing I learned about the field of being in growth and development, and um, getting with coaches and getting with environments and getting with different groups and different, I find out some things work, some things doesn't. I found out there's certain personnel that I really attract to, certain people I repel. There are gonna be some people that I really look up to. There are gonna be some things that they say that I wholeheartedly agree with, and there are gonna be some things that I strongly disagree with. There are gonna be some things where I may like an individual, but they say things different than my religious beliefs or my religious sex or whatever. And I'm saying that there are gonna be different variations of where sometimes you want to throw out the baby with the bathwater, meaning that, hey, I came this far with this person or this thing, and they said something that goes against almost everything that I believe in. What I want to say is, in life, um, you always have free will and judgment to like who you like, what you like. And you can always dismiss the things that you don't like about people, places, and things because you're entitled to your opinion. We deal with objective truth, things that are truth, and then we deal with subjective thought, things that are opinionated. What I try to associate myself with, even if I'm misguided, even if I grew up in nothing but chaos and disorder, what I normally do is, even though this feels normal, I understand, I write these certain rules down to myself. I come up with my own guidelines, right? So, what I would normally start to do, I will write down on one side of the paper the things that I strongly believe in and the things that I disagree with. And what I would do is I would try to find reasons to support and negate both sides of the paper, right? Everything that I believe in, right? I will find reasons to support that. Why do I feel the way I feel about having honor or respect? Because I feel I'm attached to it because I've seen people get disrespected. I've seen men put their hands on women, women put hands on men. I've seen physical abuse. Um, I've seen a lot of things where I know respect is a primary thing in my life, and I find all the reasons and factors to support that. I find the other reasons on the other side of the paper, the things that I strongly disagree with, and have my stating facts why I disagree with them. And what I would do is I would go out there and challenge myself in different spaces. Not I don't have to challenge other people, but I want to see if these are truths that hold up to who I am and what I believe in. Am I biased about these things? Do I look at these things from one perspective? The blinds could be really, really blurred when you talk about even police, right? I was watching um Let's Rap About a podcast, and Main on them had a very, very intriguing question that was posed to them on a podcast. So Main on them, all street guys. So normally they said, "Well, what are the codes on snitching?" We hear this terminology all the time about snitching. I'm just giving you an example about. I'll jump right back into us talking about where we should start at, but I'll give you an example of challenging your truths, right? So the question was posed to them, hey, we all street guys, somebody do something to us in the streets. There's a no calling police code because if we're quote unquote guys that are from the streets and living by the code of the streets, one of the codes of the streets is that you do not call police. This is what was said. But then the question was, well, what if your family was captive and they were held at gunpoint and you seen on your ring camera or one of your cameras, and you seen that these men or who invaders came into your home where your wife, your child was, and you're nowhere around? Are you calling the police, or you gonna live by the street code? Because you quote unquote the street guy. And then every individual came to the conclusion that I'm going to call 911 to have somebody come to my house and rescue my family. So what I'm saying is that when we say these terminologies of I'm never doing this, I'm never doing that, you can be in it and also step outside of it and see, are you still holding on to that same truth? Because a lot of times we are biased depending on who we are, where we are, and circumstance. So what I'm saying is that when we so conflicted about our lives and our journeys and where we want to be at, what I'm saying is that when you say on that side of the paper the things that you strongly believe in, are you strongly believing in those things from a biased perspective, or is that the objective truth that you living in? And you say that I want this to oblige through the rest of my life, whether it's in favor of me or it's not in favor of me. And then this is where we can start to be honest and open about who we are and start putting down these things in these formats of saying, you know what, this is who I am. I love respect. I love honor. I love trust. I love loyalty. This is what the side of the paper looks like to me. I want to be somebody that's financially wealthy. I want to be financially astute. I want to have some wisdom. I want to have shared experiences. I want to do things as collectiveness. I want to be able to do acts of servitude. I want to get really, really tapped in with my belief system, and who I am and what I represent. I want to be a man of my word or a woman of my word. I want to do things by oath. I want to do things as tradition. I want to be engulfed in my higher purpose and or God, deity, whoever you want to, you know, look at, or your creator, whatever it is that you deem on that paper. I think we start writing down that rubric of what we who we want to be like and who we want to disassociate with. And it can be conflicting at times because when we first start the initial process, we can hear different people, different influences. When we misguided ourselves, we may have some things written on the paper at the very moment that we strongly believe in. And as we start to go out there in the world and start testing these things in different environments, different conversations, not being biased and start being open and honest to who we are, we can start seeing, okay, you know what? Maybe let me start associating myself with more of the positivity things. If I got things on my paper that's more things of abuse and taking advantage and doing these things, maybe this is something that needs to be challenged because I think I need a wake up call. Or I mean, I know that I need a wake up call until you get in the environment of being challenged on it. So what I'm saying is that I think coming up with a standard for self first, some morals, some things that you believe in, starting there. Then we can go into spaces where the conversation can be had. And then during that process, those people will be vetted over time, right? Because you may find out some people are deceivers. Some people may come with false narratives. Some people may feed you some things that they don't even believe in. And this is what you'll start to learn over time. And in due time, it may not be immediate. But before we start evaluating what other people think, it's about what you think first. So before we start opening up these doors and these other portals to different places and different spaces to get more familiar with who we are, we literally got to figure out, well, what are your likes, what are your dislikes, what do you believe in, how do you orchestrate? Do you feel like um things are eye for an eye? Are you eye for an eye type of person? Do you feel like, you know, right? What's quote unquote right in your book? Do you feel telling the truth is the book is in your book? Do you feel like transparency is something that you hold in high regard? Is it being dealing with finances, one generational wealth? Are these things part of the criteria that you embody? And then when you do that, we start looking at examples of it. Okay, when I say respect, what does respect look like? Let's write that definition. We know what we saying. Let's put the definition to the word or to those things. When we say respect, what looks like respect? Give all examples of respect. It could be people, places, and things. Write down all the examples that you think of what looks like respect. And then when you write down wealth, okay, what is wealth? What does wealth look like? What is is there a number? Is there a number attached to wealth? Is it $1? Is $100? Is it 100,000? Is it 100? Okay, what is the number of wealth? What is generational wealth? Who you associate with having generational wealth? What does legacy look like? Okay, what is an example of a legacy? What names or what family? What history? What streets? What block? What areas? What would you want to associate that with? And then once you start looking at these things and seeing how it measure up to you in your life, start following some of the stories that led them down some of these paths. Because we start learning over time that there are systems that people do and follow in order to get them to and from. So when people deal with finances, right? Um, we know that people that understand money, they know how to acquire the money. They know how to invest the money. They know how to save the money. They know how to keep the money in circulation. They know how, if you don't put the money to work, the money depreciates. We know inflation. They know a lot of things about the money. So if you want to learn about money, you get around people, books, free things from the internet. Even though, like I said, things will be vetted, but first get in the space of the thing. So you want to be somebody that's involved in sports. Get into sport. You want to learn about water polo. Find everything you need to know about water polo. Find out where water polo is played at. What are the rules of the game? How many participants? How long is the game? Can anybody play? Is it co-ed? Is it men and women? How learn everything you need to learn about it. So my thing is that if you want to say, if you say, listen, I want to change my life. Well, what does change look like? I don't know what change look like. Okay, well, who who have you seen changed, or who do you want to be associated with as somebody that looks like they turned their life around? Are there any examples around you? Are there real life examples? Are they TV um, examples? Are there characters from your favorite cartoon or superhero movie? Or what movies have you watched where they, would you watch? Did you watch Hancock, where the person that lost the confidence, whatever, had all of the power in the world, but they had to find themselves in order to exude that. So what I'm saying is that get in the field or whatever it is that you want to do and become a student of it. Become a student. Somebody don't know where to start. If they say I want to change my life, well, what is it that you want to change? Write down what you want to change, because you got to identify that with self first. What is it that you want to change? Do you want to change your mindset? Okay, let's attach ourselves to mindset. Well, what is it about your mindset? Do you think more on the lines of somebody that's progressive, or you are optimistic person, or you more dismissive? Are you more um uh you dealing with things as more of a defeated perspective? What is it that you want to do? What are you struggling with? So once we start to identify the things that we want to bring into our world, then we just go out there and search for it through books, through podcasts, through conversations, through other personnel's, other examples. Find people, places, and things that um that looks like what you want to bring into your world. Find things that looks like what you want to bring into your world. And then from there, we can start taking the examples and say, you know what? Maybe this is for me, maybe it's not. Sometimes people deliver a message in a way that sounds soothing to the ears and it just gravitates towards you. Sometimes people may say some things, they saying the right thing. You just don't like the way that they say it. You got to find what works for you. You got to find out, what floats your boat. But I think ultimately, where we start getting most of the answers from is really start understanding who you are. Because once you start looking at you and knowing your strengths and knowing your weaknesses, then everything else is just added. I think the other things can add to who you are. I think we can learn and develop our skill sets through those other channels. But I think it's very, very important just to write down your thoughts and your belief system. Keep a log, keep a daily log, keep a journal. Sometimes you may go through. I keep many different journals for different reasons. I keep a journal for pivotal moments that happened in my life. If something that was transformational on a particular day, it could just be a euphoric feeling that I had for the day, something that brought me so much excitement. I may just get up and just feel so good today. And I say, I need to write this down in my book, make a memo, make a note to this. I don't know what it is. Today, detail the day. I mean, I just woke up, the sun was just glycerin on my face, and I felt this warmth. I feel this sensation. I felt like I woke up today, and I just felt blessed, and I felt appreciative. It was a spirit that was around me. Detail the day, detail what you have done. All of these things will give you some level of insight on what you want to attract into your world and what you want to attach it to. And then now you can start looking at some of these notes on pivotal moments that happened in your life. You say, "Oh, I remember when that happened. I remember that happened. I remember that happened." And then what you start to do is you start almost pretty much carrying almost like a reward system for self. That right there will start building up your self-esteem. You start detailing things about you and things that you have seen, things that you experience. That's almost like your own reward system without anybody else doing anything. It's all based on your own perspectives for that moment. And you start detailing, oh, this is what happened. I experienced this, I did that, ba, 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 ba. For you got a laundry list of things that you found to be appreciative of and proud of. And then this will start building up the confidence to say, you know what? Maybe this is me. That's the confirmation, because this is how I want to feel. This is what I want to attract into my life. This is why I want to bring into the world and people I want to come in contact with. So starting off in these areas of challenging yourself to be honest with yourself. Start off just being honest with yourself. Find out what you really want, or at heart, the things that you want to change, and be open and honest about that. Write those things down. And then what you do is start to be on a journey for it. Look for it, watch for it, listen for it, speak it. Use all of your faculties, all of your senses to bring that thing into an existence. So you looking for it, you watching for it, you listening for it. So you may be passing somebody in the streets and he says something about, you know, um, investments. It catches your attention. Get familiar with the language. Okay, start studying. Well, what languages are they using? I mean, I know I'm saying a lot, right? I know I'm saying a lot. Simply just get yourself in a space of whatever it is that you want to bring into your existence. Get yourself in the space of whatever it is that you want to get or you want to bring into existence. And this can be through books, recommended books. This can be through mindset things, mindset shifts, self help books, um, uh, in- uh, uh, what's it called? Brains, what's it called? Think tanks with other individuals where they having this conversation. You can go into groups, different chats where they talking about this thing that you want to bring into your existence. You can watch podcasts, you can watch documentaries, you can watch a plethora of things. There's so many things. Ultimately, if you need some guidance, you can ask me and I can point you in the right direction. We can find this out together. You can share your ideas with me and we can converse together, and then what we can do we can start off of finding a direction, and then we can see if it works, and we just keep refining it as we go. So ideally, if there's something that you feel you want to jump into, you want to learn, you want to grasp, you want to change, you want to develop, you can share it here with us as a collective. You can DM me, you can contact me, and then we can start the path. You could just tell me what's on your mind, what's your thoughts, and then we could just start. Okay, I want to do this, and then we can figure out ways to take steps towards that, and then eventually we'll start finding out what works and what doesn't, and we can just strengthen by how the levels of discipline that we have, like my sister said, and the dedication that we have, like my sister Rachel said. We can start being dedicated to the mission and start creating our purpose from it. Um, Man, today was a powerful build. This might be the longest we went, huh? Yeah, today we almost coming up on officially 2 hours. Powerful. Shout out to everybody on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Um, Please go share, like, subscribe, go to the YouTube videos, all up down the page. Like them, share your thoughts, share your beliefs, tell somebody else about it. It boosts up the algorithm, and ultimately it allows us to get in front of more people that have the same sentiments that we have, because it's not by coincidence that we all are here. We are sharing our minds, sharing our thoughts, and sharing our beliefs. And we here because we in search of something, and we want to advance at something. We're going to bring things into our world, and I know we all can do it. Every day is a learning lesson, and we can share our belief systems and challenge them in a healthy way, right? We can challenge our belief systems in a healthy way, and I know we can do it. We're just taking it one day at a time to be 1% better. And I think I'm super proud and super appreciative of each and everybody's presence, because you allow me, you allow other individuals to share and take a piece of your expertise and a piece of your mind and a piece of your experience. And I think it's so invaluable. You can't even put a price tag on your shared knowledge. And I want all of us to understand who we are and what that means to you and what it means to others, because I take your thoughts and your beliefs and I know I apply them in my world and see what works. And you giving me the data to go out there and execute at higher levels. Some things we take, some things we dismiss, but ultimately we have the information to sift through, and I think that is the power. So I'm very, very appreciative. You should be appreciative of yourself even more. Keep loving yourself, keep striving, keep being better. And we're gonna get there every day. Just keep striving. Keep putting yourself in unfamiliar territory to stretch your mind, right? Keep stretching your mind, keep building up your perspective, and ideally, you would get to where you need to get to. Once again, today's sponsors is Respectfully Great. Go shop at respectfullygreat.com. Shameless plug. You like the videos, like them up, thumb them up, turn your notifications on. Don't forget to subscribe, tell other people, and I would love to see you in the near future. In the near future, next Thursday, every Thursday, 7 p.m. You're always locked in at Respectfully Great on Instagram. Check us out: Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, StreamYard, TikTok, and all of the dope platforms. I love you guys. More importantly, love yourselves. And I will see you soon next week. Respectfully.